If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, we've got a patron page for that. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. Welcome to Pony Stadium for high school girls soccer. Mike beat it all by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory for you. We have the Stillwater area Ponies, ranked number 7 in Class 2A, against the Lakeville North Panthers, a team that reaches the state tournament seemingly every year in Class 2A. The Lakeville North Panthers at 5-1-2. Their one loss coming to Rosemount on Tuesday. Their game with Shakopee was postponed due to severe weather, and the girls are coming off a scoreless draw with Woodbury. That game was shortened due to severe weather. The Stillwater girls at 8-1-2. Now, if you look at common opponents, they have just the one. It's Rosemount. The Stillwater girls beat Rosemount 1-0. That was our first girls soccer broadcast of the year. Hallie Peterson scored the lone goal in that one. She suffered a stress fracture last week, missed a couple of games. Lakeville North, historically a team that likes to win with defense. They've only scored 3 goals or more once, and that was a 3-0 win over New Prague. They do not put up a ton of goals. And Stillwater, no goals on Thursday's match with Woodbury, but they put up 7 against Forest Lake. Perhaps an expected result. Stillwater well above Forest Lake's level, but the game was notable for the first career hat trick for freshman Marissa Bonilla. Stillwater trying to deny Lakeville North and playing a little box out. Nicely played by Stillwater there, keeping Lakeville North from getting a potential shot. And it looks like that's Hallie Peterson, who's back in action. Again, missed a couple of games to recover from a stress fracture. Nothing serious, but took some days off. But her teammates did a fine job in her absence with the 5-0 win over Duluth East and the 7-0 win over Forest Lake. So a couple of games you can afford to miss if you have to miss one. But they're glad to have Hallie Peterson back. Hallie scored the lone goal in that win over Rosemount. She'll be going to Bemidji State next year. Raises money for youth hunger programs with the United Way. Lakeville North wearing the white, Stillwater wearing the black kits. Offside was called on the Ponies. Lakeville North led by Brian Lehman. And as you know, if you've followed our Stillwater coverage, Mike Huber, the head coach for the girls soccer team at Stillwater High School. Lakeville North slowly moving down the field. That's number 26, Sarah Kugler. Game starting a little later than scheduled with the boys' game having to go to extra time. Yeah, that Forest Lake game, it was quite the bookend for the Ponies. They scored 4 goals in 15 minutes and then put up 3 more in the last 10. In addition to Bonilla, Megan Howard, Lexi Huber, and Sophie Steblai were among the others. to put in a score. Data on Lakeville North is limited. But they have quite an accomplished roster. A lot of achievements and a lot to celebrate. As we said, Lakeville North, they're a school that makes the 2A bracket almost every year in the state tournament. They're often one of the schools you have to get through if you want that trophy. Stillwater, we'll see if they set up an attack. And against a team like Lakeville North that historically prefers to win with defense, that might put the onus on the Ponies to get an early scoring chance. And someone who's planning to play today in spite of unusual, I should say, unfortunate circumstances, Sydney Gellhorn. Her father died yesterday morning. Sydney, a 4.2 GPA, member of the National Honor Society and chair of the Lakeville Youth and Government Delegation. Always a tough time when you lose someone close to you. Brian Lehman, the head coach, told me this game would be an emotional one no matter the score. Many members of the Lakeville North team were close to the Gellhorn family. Corner kick coming up for the Ponies. Sydney's father had a lengthy battle with ALS. We'll talk a little more about that. Abby Bajan with the corner. First of the game, and that bounces off the crossbar. As you know, ALS a debilitating disease. Got a lot of support a few years ago with the Ice Bucket Challenge that swept across the nation. I took part in that, along with many others. And 4 years later, all the donations that were gathered as Lakeville North puts a stop to that one. Just one keeper, Annie Waters, varsity player since 8th grade. And the reason why Sydney is playing in this game was because her father would want her to, and in many cases, it would certainly be acceptable if you wanted to take some time off to work your way through the grieving process, but one of the best ways to start the healing process is to continue doing the very things you are passionate about. And for Sydney Gellhorn, soccer is one of them. It won't take away the sting of losing someone that was close to her for so many years. But somewhere up there, I'm sure Sydney's father is happy to see number 21 continue to wear the uniform and keep moving. A lot of strides have been made with ALS, but still a long way to go. Wanted to put that out there because, as we noted in the boys' game with Stillwater and Southwest, in most cases, you'll have a winner and a loser in a regular season game. Sometimes you'll have a draw, but there's a world out there with much bigger things at stake. 7.5 minutes in, no score. We had one corner, but no quality chances have developed yet. And Cindy Gellhorn, one of several Lakeville North players with a GPA of 4.0 or higher. Molly Waters, 4.3, one of the captains. Won the Excel Award last year for Lakeville North. An AP Scholar with distinction and a volunteer coach for U7 soccer team, has held that role for 3 years. Maggie Cade is another volunteer coach. She will play Bemidji State. Has verbally committed, hasn't signed the NLI just yet, but she'll join Hallie Peterson as Beaver teammates. So we've got some future teammates battling it out for a win today. And there's one way to figure out what your teammates are made of, is to go against each other. Evie Cohn makes the play on that one. Another member of the 4.0 club is Elise Kleiber. Volunteers with the Lakeville Soccer Club as well. Captain of the track team this season. Takes part in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and long jump. So a sprinter and a jumper, and I guess there's no better fit for a sprinter than this sport, where acceleration and vertical are crucial. And the assistant coach for Lakeville North, as the goal kick is completed, Mark Wielimnowski, say that 5 times fast, was a contributor, or is a contributor, for ESPN with International Champions League games when they're hosted here. A strong soccer pedigree at Lakeville North, and perhaps that's not surprising with all the state tournament appearances the school has accomplished over the years. And want to thank Brian Lehman and his work to bring you this biographical information. There's a lot of pride at Lakeville North, and if you followed our Stillwater coverage, there's a lot of pride here too. And a lot of extracurricular involvement outside of the sport. A couple of D2 commits for Stillwater and a D1 in Dara and Dringa. Then you have some multi-sport athletes like Lexi Huber, who's taken on a leadership role this year, really has embraced being the go-to figure for the Ponies. And you've got Maya Notch, who we saw a little bit of in the Forest Lake game, had a couple of cracks at the goal. Rides and drives horses. And then you've got CJ Fredcove, who was part of the state champion ski team last year. If there's one thing that isn't lacking on either side, it's ambition. Whether it's this sport, the other activities they take a part of, or anything else they do. Substitution for the Panthers. Going out is number 11, Karen Senni. And in her place is number 8, McKenna Nelson. McKenna, when she's not playing soccer, a model for several agencies. So perhaps you might see her on a billboard or poster or some sort of advertisement.
Oh, wow.
Just over 12 minutes in, not a whole lot has happened. Stillwater's been able to control possession time. They had the one corner, but no big shots, no quality shots at the net yet. Rings shades of the Rosemount game, where sometimes you get a whole lot of nothing. That was a gutsy play by Haley Nelson. A Lakeville North player was right behind her. If she misplayed that, Evie Cohn was in big trouble, because there would have been nothing between her and the Lakeville North player. But we play on. Floor can't keep it in play. And with the throw-in, Sarah Kugler, number 26. As you picked up by now, we work on names and numbers as we move along. Kluger will throw it in again. And Stillwater showing their box-out skills again. Hallie Peterson keeps that away. In case you're wondering, my money's on the red team. If you're not sure what that means, I'll let you stew on that for a minute. Panthers trying to make a play. In the open, we discussed Lakeville North and their relative lack of offense compared to other teams. That might seem problematic, but in this sport, not so much. You just have to make sure the other team isn't scoring more than you are. Here's Megan Howard. She picked up a goal in that 7-0 rout over Forest Lake, scoring with just a few seconds left. And she spoke of her excitement as a corner kick is coming for the Ponies that a freshman, Marissa Bonilla, earned a hat trick. And you'll see Bonilla on the hockey team this winter. But Howard told me it speaks volumes to the talent that will be coming up when the senior class wraps up their soccer career at the high school level. As we noted, a couple will continue in college. And Dara Andringa Jr., so she'll have to wait to sign the NLI, but always cool to see. We thought on Tuesday that Bonilla earned a hat trick in 11 minutes until it was discovered that Evelyn Floor was credited with an early goal off a free kick. The free kick, there was a play for the ball, and it was won by a Forest Lake defender, but it went off her head and into the goal. At the higher levels, it would count as an own goal and would not be credited to anyone on the attacking side, but in high school, it goes to the shooter, the last player who touched it, and so Floor picked up credit. We had an own goal in the boys' game as well in the 5-1 win over Forest Lake. So a little quirk at the high school level regarding the tabulation of statistics. This play continues at midfield. We'll share a few more notes. Another member of that 4.0 club, well, I'll get to that in a minute because Floor is looking to set up. Floor can get some high lobs in, unable to do so there. Anna Steele, one of the captains, a 4.23 GPA. Also a volunteer coach for the U7 girls program. Won an Academic Excellence Award with the Minnesota State High School League. And a Model United Nations officer. I'm not sure what that entails entirely, but I imagine Anna Steele knows, and that's the important thing. And Annie Waters, the keeper, a varsity player since 8th grade, picked up Rookie of the Year honors in her first year on varsity. And if you're keeping score, among the bios, there's at least 5 players with a 4.0 GPA or higher for Lakeville North. I can't tell you what the GPA is for Stillwater, but I'm guessing it's up there. A lot of these athletes take their studies seriously. And many coaches joke as Floor sends a ball that was deflected by a Lakeville North player. Huber tries to play off the rebound and sends it behind the net. But a lot of coaches, especially in women's sports, and I imagine many men's sports too, they often joke with me about academic issues not being a problem. Many of them will tell me eligibility, never a concern. Because these kids understand time management. And that's good to see. Back on Thursday, when I was here for Stillwater Volleyball with Jessica January, a salutatorian, I believe that's how you pronounce it, in high school at Richfield, finishing second in her class, and then earning NCAA Woman of the Year honors. Highly distinguished academic career at DePaul. She says you can't stress it enough. The importance of staying on top of your studies. And over time, I've gotten to meet a lot of smart cookies. If Jeopardy's looking for any contestants for their teen tournaments, just hit me up and I could send you a list of athletes who might fit the bill. Waters plays that one. Someone who's not quite at the 4.0 GPA club, but has some fun stories of her own, Fiona Rouse, number 12 for the Panthers. Nominated for the Homecoming Royalty, which will take place next weekend at Lakeville North High School, 3.6 GPA. Also part of the Best Buddies program and a volunteer with the Special Olympics. Lakeville North, as you know, the original Lakeville school, nice play by Lexi Huber to force a corner. And Abby Bajan, the customary recipient of corner kicks. Can't do much with it there. Lakeville North not in the top 10 in the prep rankings, but knowing their background, knowing their history, anytime you get them on the schedule, you're going to take them seriously. As we noted, Lakeville North, the original Lakeville school, when the city expanded to add a second, they added the geographical distinction. But all of the achievements picked up by the original Lakeville school are still held or still recognized at Lakeville North. Lakeville North, in particular, one of the powers, foul on the Panthers, but one of the powers in athletics, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, both teams, North and South in the top 10. Lakeville North winning the 3A state title last year, beating the Stillwater Ponies in the quarterfinals. And it looked like that ball was deflected off a Lakeville North player. Waters opting to let that bounce out, and she'll concede another corner to Abby Bajan. Nope, this will be Dara Andringa this time. Abby Bajan, her father is part of the Fire SC 98 program. High lob. And it was a high lob by Evelyn Floor. It almost found the goal. And just like the boys' game, it went off the crossbar. Gora, if you recall, in the boys' game, had a one-hopper that could have given the Ponies a potential winner in extra time, but it went off the top of the crossbar. Floor had a great look there, the first quality chance, and it went off the crossbar. So Lakeville North escapes a scare for now with 17:23 left in the first half. There's a lot to be proud of, a lot to celebrate in the city of Lakeville. As their schools get a lot of coverage from School Space Media with the live streams, including a big volleyball match between Champlain Park and Lakeville North on Tuesday. If it's a sport, odds are Lakeville North will be good at it. And it's amazing to think of, because you have schools that have reputations in specific sports. Hawkins for basketball, Eden Prairie for football. Appa Valley became a power in boys basketball, winning 3 state titles with the Jones brothers. And even if you don't win state all the time, to have the sustained amount of success at Lakeville North, and we saw a taste of that last year with Stillwater, 15 section titles, so a lot of state tournament appearances, and 5 teams went on to win state championships. But it's absolutely incredible because of all the coordination that's involved. You need to have strong coaching, you need to have strong talent, and the pedigree at Lakeville North, I would say, creates a virtuous cycle. We mentioned all of the Lakeville North players. There's Louisa Schromoff. All of the Panthers involved in youth soccer as volunteer coaches. And so while those kids are learning the fundamentals, years down the line, they may wear a Lakeville North uniform. A few years ago, they had a Panther go on to play at the University of Minnesota, Simone Colander, who was a multi-sport athlete. Stillwater looking to get on the run. Looks like Megan Howard, and it was batted away by Molly Waters, who I presume is related in some capacity to Annie Waters. Stillwater throwing coming up. Stillwater ball. And that was a foul. Hallie Peterson misplayed the header anyway, so unlikely Stillwater would have developed a scoring chance there. Lakeville North has just 1 freshman on their varsity roster, and she has played in every minute of every game. That is Marley Williams. And even though she's a freshman, she is already the recipient of a Presidential Academic Award, a national runner-up in the U.S. club season last year for the Salvo Soccer Club. But it says something about her skill where she's the lone freshman on the varsity roster, and she has played every minute. So she's not one of those backups you put in garbage time. She's the real deal. But it's been Stillwater controlling possession for most of this half. Lakeville North really not able to sustain or develop any kind of attack. Now Stillwater, they've had one real chance at the net, with Evelyn Floor missing her lob. Those lobs have quite the hang time. We saw that in the win over Duluth East. We saw that in the win over Forest Lake. She can set up a free kick, and that high hang time can be difficult to read for less experienced players. Here's Marissa Bonilla, a woman of few words, but had her breakout performance of the season with a hat trick over Forest Lake. Huber tried to receive the pass, gets it. Ball deflected. I'm not sure if Maggie Cade saw it, but in any event, she stops Lexi Huber from a shot on goal. Goal kick coming up from the Panthers. And hold everything. Well, while we try this again, if you would like to support our ongoing sports coverage of Twin Cities athletics, visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/TSB Television. That is patreon.com/TSB Television. And sponsorships start at $1 a month. You can get your name on the credits as one perk, and you can even get the chance to join me in the broadcast booth for a game. And every contribution goes to our ongoing coverage of Twin City sports. Bonilla with the cross. Was looking for Megan Howard and almost had her. But there's a difference between almost and getting there. But Stillwater will hang on to it. Dara Andringa, the Wisconsin Verbal, will put this corner kick in play. This first half controlled by Stillwater, but it has not translated into points. Plays that one close, and Lakeville North gets the clearance. Stillwater will get a throw in, but well played by the Lakeville North defense.
Number 21, Sophia Stedlau.
Sophie Campbell in the game, wearing 44, an unusual number in this sport. Most folks will wear anything from the single digits to the teens, maybe a couple in the 20s, but a 44. That's a rarity.
Substitutions number 22, Charlie Griffith. Number 26, Sarah Cutler.
Goal kick coming up for the Panthers. In the first half, that has had a whole lot of mostly nothing. Again, one quality chance by Evelyn Floor and a bevy of corners for the Ponies. They have yet to get one to stick. But they are controlling possession. Lakeville North unable to penetrate that back line for the Ponies. Doing an outstanding job so far. Pass. Bonilla can't catch up to it. Sarah Kugler clears that one. They'll concede another throw in. And again, this is the Lakeville North style. They don't score a lot. They prefer to win with counters. And now a goal kick coming up for the Panthers. A more conservative approach compared to other teams, but it's worked well for them. Bayesian. Oh, juked her defender. Almost broke the ankles of Fiona Rouse. Bayesian, centering pass. Gets behind, shot wide right. That was Sophie Stedlau, and she's consoled by one of her teammates, Dara Andringa, saying, shake it off. But Stedlau with a good look. Another quality chance for the Ponies. And if anything, this match may serve as an example on the virtue of patience. As they have spent a lot of time in the attacking side. Evie Kona has been doing a lot of standing around and watching. That back line doing a great job. Lakeville North unable to get anything going. Floor with a free kick. Flag goes up. Offside is the call. Will be the call, but Lakeville North takes over.
No one offside.
Lakeville North had it, but with the flag going up, delayed offside. Lakeville North still had to take the indirect free kick. Lakeville North sending a glancing look, and it looks like they're going to perhaps set up their first attack. It's been a while since Evie Cohn has had to keep an eye out on the defensive end. And Stillwater takes over again. Moving upfield hasn't been the issue for the Ponies. Getting scoring chances, another story. They've had 2. Evelyn Floor had a lob that went off the crossbar. And Sophia Steblai had a great look off a centering pass. And she went wide right. It's not as easy as it looks. Ponies didn't hear the whistle. It was a foul in Lakeville North, so a free kick coming up. As we noted, Lexi Huber stepping up this year, 8 goals, 4 assists. She matched her goal total from last year in the opening pair of road games to start the season. With Stillwater picking up wins over Moorhead and Anoka. Her father, who is also the head coach, told me Lexi has a great future ahead of her. And I think we've seen that play out this year. Embracing the leadership role. Now that she's accustomed to the size and speed of varsity competition. Under 5 minutes to play in the first half, still no score, and shades of the boys' game, where one side had a few more chances than the other. In this case, it's Stillwater who has spent most of the first half on the attack. Lakeville North preferring to wait for a mistake and try to get a counterplay in. Sarah Kugler awaiting the throw-in. Headed away by Stillwater, and we noted the limited data on the part of Lakeville North, but what we can tell you, their leading goal scorer is a sophomore, Anna Tobias, who also was a letter winner last year for the basketball team. The girls basketball team, they seemingly make state every year. They've dominated Section 1 for it seems like eons, and got a state championship back in 2010 with Cassie Rochelle and Rachel Banham, the 1-2 punch. Of course, Rachel Banham turned into a star at Minnesota and was able to parlay that into a professional career, where she's been with the Connecticut Sun for the last few years. But holds a lot of respect for her Gopher alumni, Lindsay Whalen among them. Just excited to hear about Whalen getting the head coaching job for the Gopher women's basketball team. 2:25 remains. Steblai couldn't catch up to it. I think she was hoping to pass to someone behind to allow Stillwater to set up. And Drinka in trouble. Another Ponies throw-in. They waste little time with it. Huber tried a deep shot. That went wide left. And 125 remains. Looks like Andringa took a tumble. There's Bayesian with the pass. Stillwater looking to make another move, and once again the Lakeville North defense able to get in the passing lane, and we're going to have a foul on Evelyn Floor as she made contact with Sarah Kugler, I believe. No, that was number 20. Annalise Cheetah. But under a minute to play, so Sydney Gellhorn gets the free kick in. As we noted, playing in perhaps one of the most emotional games of her life. And it takes some courage to put on the uniform and step out there with your teammates a day after losing your father to ALS. It's one of those things that I'm sure as a family they prepared for, but no matter how much you prepare for a moment like that, it still stings.
10 seconds.
Stillwater sends a passing shot. Waters will field that easily, and that will bring the first half to an end. So Stillwater controlling possession throughout the first half, but the Lakeville North defense does not budge. We're at a scoreless draw through 40 minutes. And we'll see if either side can break this tie. Again, if Lakeville North is going to do so, it may be on a counterplay. Stillwater, they're hoping persistence will pay off. We'll come back for the second half. You're watching high school girls soccer at Pony Stadium in Oak Park Heights. If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, we've got a patron page for that. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. Mike beat it all by myself, talking to myself. Well, I suppose Dominic and Carlos are here. Here at Pony Stadium in Oak Park Heights, the Stillwater Ponies hoping to knock off the Lakeville North Panthers in regular season competition. It's getting cold out there, apparently. Well, that's why I brought my jacket with. It was a nice day. Temperatures got to the mid-60s, but a little on the cool side. It got a little chilly yesterday. So Friday Night Football was a little brisk. The Ponies have not lost since a 2-0 defeat to Cretin-Durham Hall, their only defeat thus far. So the Ponies hoping to continue their unbeaten streak, which has been all but one game at 8-1-2. The Panthers had an unbeaten start through their first 7 games before losing to Rosemount on Tuesday. Their game with Shakopee, not sure when it will be rescheduled. They have games throughout most of the calendar. There might be a chance they could get it in on the 29th. But the Panthers, they've got 3 games to end the regular season on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th. Including a big one with Edina and a Suburban East or South Suburban versus Lake Conference battle. We've got the Suburban East versus South Suburban match here. Stillwater at 8-1-2. Panthers at 5-1-2. As we noted, Stillwater, their game with Woodbury was called due to severe weather. So who knows what might have happened with the extra time. Throwing for the Panthers. And a rare moment where they are in the attacking side. Again, trying to get that counter, and Cone bobbled it briefly, but recovers in time. So Molly Waters with a good setup, but the Panthers unable to convert. Stillwater will take over. Cheetah may have gotten a push there. If you just joined us on the Valley Access Channel's airwaves, 2 chances for the Ponies, and both missed by a few inches. The closest was Evelyn Floor with her patented lob kick. Tried to beat Annie Waters through the air, and her shot went off the crossbar. Megan Howard had a decent look, sent that one wide right. Great centering pass set her up there. Lakeville North, no real attacks at the Stillwater net. Huber looking to pass to the backside. The header goes wide left. And that will be Stillwater ball. Again, Lakeville North prefers to protect the net. They don't give up a lot of goals. Just 4 this year. And 5 clean sheets. All of them wins. The Stillwater girls, they had a tremendous start defensively as well. Thanks to the improved play of Evie Cohn, who is going to MSU Mankato. She spent a lot of time offside. Now flag goes down. So to finish up that story, Evie Cohn spent some time with Ricky Michael, who volunteered to give special instruction to the keepers. Ricky Michael, a standout soccer and baseball player back in the day in the St. Croix Valley. And that one-on-one instruction, Mike Huber told me, is not always common in the sport of soccer, and he felt that allowed Evie to really develop her skills minding the net. You know her story, helps with special education students, a starter for 4 years. A stronger focus and a better technical aspect on the part of Evie Cohn, and as a result, Stillwater did not allow a goal through their first 6 games. And all season, they've allowed just 3. They gave up 1 to Duluth East in a flurry of goals that ended the first half of that one. The Ponies won that one 5-1. But you've got 2 defensively sound teams. Lakeville North, backdoor, Cohn misplayed it, but catches up to it. The first quality chance by the Panthers, and Evie Cohn withstands it. But again, that is the type of play Lakeville North will try to score on our counters. Here's a takeaway by Howard. Centering pass had nowhere to go. And Dringa, that will go through the uprights. And the fans signal field goal. If only. But it doesn't work in this sport. Bayesian launches and missed everything. But again, we're seeing the Stillwater team push the pace, force the issue, peppering Lakeville North with shot after shot, or at least trying to. they controlled the first half. Spent most of it on the attacking side. Plenty of time in the attacking third. So none of that midfield nonsense. They kept Lakeville North in a defensive position. And now a corner kick will come for the Ponies. They haven't done much with it yet, but as you know, with set pieces, any one of them could be the one that puts you in front. Here's Abby Bajan. And misplayed somewhat by Lakeville North. Can't read the number from here. Looked like that was Marley Williams. So Bajan will get to try again. And Dringa had a header on it, but not the angle. And Stillwater will hang on to it. Abby Bajan. We'll go to MSU Mankato next year. Joining Evie Cohn. MSU Mankato, part of the NSIC, Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. May not get the D1 recognition. It is a D2 school, but means you get to keep on playing for a few more years, and sometimes it's just the joy of the game when you go to those smaller colleges, D2 or D3. And Dringa, that one goes wide left. Not sure if somebody was trying to talk to me. Well, someone's excited. Or trying to stay warm. Or both. 31-38 left in the second half. Megan Howard catches up to the ball, keeps it in play, but unable to do anything with it. Lakeville North ball. We'll see how long it stays that way. We saw this quite a bit in the first half. They would get a throw in, and a Stillwater attacker was able to force a change in possession. And we just saw that again with Naya Dobier, number 15. Floor, the dribbler, and Lakeville North gets a clearance. Stillwater will let it bounce. And I could be mistaken, but I think I have some young spectators mesmerized with my commentary. I suppose they can hear what I'm saying. The window's open. This has happened a few times. Deep ball, and Waters will play that easily. I don't know what it is. You give me a microphone and everyone was wondering, what am I doing here? Well, I know what I'm doing here, sharing the never-ending supply of amazing stories of high school sports. And I've gotten to experience a lot of them. Lakeville North, keeping an eye out there. That was Louisa Schromoff. Schromoff was eyeing a potential counter attempt. There was one player I left out of the biographical notes for Lakeville North. That was Karen Senni. I don't want to leave her out for long, and that's because she's participated in programs to support special needs kids, loves skiing and soccer, and played soccer in Iceland and Sweden. I wonder if she did so with the same club team as a couple of Matamidi players, Audrey Sexton and Lauren Heinch. Lexi Huber trying to pass upfield, but pass was a little too high. Lakeville North bats that away, and again, you'll see that if they catch up to it, rather than try to force it back, they'll concede a corner because it gives the defense a chance to set up, and statistically, the odds of converting corners aren't that high. But we'll see what happens here. Bayesian sends that one deep. Corners, one of the exciting aspects of this sport, but for the defense, it's also easier to adjust to a set piece than risk an odd woman advantage. Lakeville North in spite of the record, one thing they perhaps haven't achieved yet, a win over a high-quality team or a top 10 one, and they'll get that chance if they're able to score against Stillwater. And the Ponies picking up a few key wins. They got a draw with Eden Prairie, EP, not the strongest soccer program, but they're a school no one underestimates in any sport. Marley Williams on the free kick there. Cretin-Durham Hall could be one of those sleeper teams in Section 6. And then Stillwater knocked off, at the time, the number 1 team in Class A, Matamidi. Now the QRF rankings aren't as kind when you play a team from a lower class, but as we noted, 2A is a coach's vote anyway. Lakeville North looking for a counter, but that pass, the leading pass, may have led number 9, Anna Tobias, a little too far. A rare instance of Stillwater having to play defense, and they do just fine. Matamidi also the defending state champion in Class A. Egan, the winners in 2A. Egan, a member of the South Suburban, where Lakeville North resides. And Lakeville North will host Egan on September 27th. That game, sure to be the biggest barometer for the Panthers. Although it's reasonable to assume that both teams could end up in state, given their section assignments. Lakeville North usually in Section 1, the southernmost part of the state, covering that southeast end. And maybe that's one reason why they've been able to dominate. They're a metro area school, and so their section is shared by a lot of 4A schools that don't have the luxury of playing metro area teams, Rochester among them. Shot. Looked like that was from Huber. And it goes wide left. 50 minutes have elapsed in the second half, and through 55 minutes of game time, still no score. And if you're with us for the boys' game, you'll know what happens if the game ends in regulation without a goal, or with either team tied. This game a measure of persistence for the Ponies. Andringa. Over to Huber. One hopper, and Waters takes the tumble. And they'll send it back to her. Annie Waters keeping busy. Hasn't had to make any big saves. With Stillwater's location just a bit off. Of course, in this sport, and hockey can be the same way. Location can be hard to pin down. Deep ball. That goes over the net. From Evelyn Floor, I believe. So another goal kick for the Panthers. With 22 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in regulation. And I see some kids walking around with some hot chocolate, trying to stay warm. They've got the blankets out. You know, last week it was shorts, sandal weather. This week, the jackets are out. And it'll take a little while for everyone to get used to, as is the case. Free kick coming up for the Ponies. Evelyn Floor will do the honors. Outside of scoring range, so she'll try to find someone in that scrum. Header! Saved by Waters. Well, there's the first clutch save by Lakeville North's keeper, and that defense refusing to crack. And now a foul on Stillwater. Annie Waters, the sophomore.
Campbell, I told your whole team that. We have done drills for this.
I'm not going to be easier to know if they saw it.
Now tonight, we've done drills and practice. This is my thing. No, like before the game starts.
On varsity since 8th grade, Annie Waters. She may have to come up again. It's a foot race, and Waters wins it. But there's a player behind. It's Bajan. No, that was Bonilla. Bajan and Bonilla. And Annie Waters holds her own again. Should say that was Howard and Bonilla. They both had chances. Waters able to get the deflection. Bonilla was the trailer. She launched a shot. Waters got a stop.
What do you want me to do about it now? Whip out my washing machine.
Couple of close calls for Annie Waters, but she comes up clutch. On the varsity team since 8th grade. And it's perhaps not a surprise having to make a couple of quick reads. Lakeville North ball on the throw-in, but Annie Waters. She won Rookie of the Year honors at Lakeville North, and we're going the other way. As an 8th grader. And she's making it difficult for the Stillwater team to get a ball past her. Howard and Bonilla had the best chance of the game. And Waters has had to make a couple of big plays here. There was the free kick from Floor. Header almost went in. Now Dara Andringa will set up the corner. And the ball will carry him right back to her. Fakes the shot. Howard Tried to pass to someone from behind, but nobody was there. May have sliced it a little too much.
Well, they'll let him know, but
The moon is shining here at Pony Stadium. Of course, plenty of light here. Thanks to the fine folks at Musco.
Substitution.
If the name sounds familiar, Musco, big part of stadium lighting across the country, and
Elise Kleiber.
made a name for themselves, picked up a big PR boost back in 1992 as the company that designed the lights for the first super speedway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, back in 1992 for NASCAR's All-Star race. And the successful implementation of the lighting system led to more night races at some of the bigger tracks and certainly made a name for Musco. Bet you didn't think we'd squeeze in a little NASCAR trivia. Of course, that 1992 All-Star race, not only famous for the lights, but famous for its finish. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up on YouTube. That was quite the finish. And we're hoping to get quite a finish here. Free kick coming up for the Ponies.
Emma, you're a hot mess. Can you fix your hair? DJ money? Tea money? Yeah, what are you talking? Skated for me.
16:45.
Pushing ball on Lakeville North, Stillwater, direct kick.
All right, girls, what? Oh, yeah, this is hilarious. She wouldn't even show her. And then she's like, let me look. She pulls out her, pulls inside her shirt. $4 things.
Free kick coming up.
It was hilarious. Hot chocolate and popcorn.
Waters will track that down.
Yeah, it's same layout. I have. I bought potatoes. Yeah. We buy bananas. We had Tony pick up food in there today. Yeah. They have like some. They have some that's seasoned with apple.
Stillwater trying oh so mightily to break the scoreless draw. Another free kick from Floor, picked up by a Lakeville North defender. Bit of a push between Andringa and Stromoff. Here's Megan Howard. She won't catch up to it.
You girls want to walk down the concession stand after this?
15 minutes remain in regulation. Howard tried to get in there with a header. Waters will let that bounce away. But so far, this game proving to be another fine defensive showcase on the part of the Panthers. And for the Ponies, they've had a few chances. 2 big ones in the second half. Nothing doing yet. But, like we said, sometimes it's all about persistence. Lakeville North trying to make their way up, and we're going to have an injury stoppage as Fiona Rose tumbled to the turf. Fiona, number 12. Fiona Rouse, as we noted earlier, 3.6 GPA, member of the Best Buddies program, Special Olympics volunteer, nominated for the Homecoming Royalty, and we hope that she'll be okay. Clock stops with 13:37. And while we wait for her status, we'll remind you that if you'd like to support our ongoing coverage, visit my Patreon page at patreon.com/TSB Television, patreon.com/TSB Television. And both teams being summoned to their benches. This could be a serious injury here. And it's hard to tell what happens in the sport of soccer. So it happens so quickly. Plays, formations, shot attempts. And when you put 20 position players out there, it's inevitable that you'll collide. And that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. So Rouse will walk off the field but requires assistance. It's unlikely we will see her for the remainder of the game. And we will resume play here with about 13 and a half minutes left in regulation. So we're back to action. Here come the Ponies. They've been trying. Bonilla's cut off. Keeper comes in to help. And the Ponies will throw it in. Twelve and a half minutes to go now. Does Stillwater have anything? Again, they've had a couple of quality chances. A header from a free kick off of floor. Now Ndringa couldn't quite get the position she wanted, and another foot race won by Waters. Annie Waters should get plenty of props for her role at keeper tonight. As we noted, 5 clean sheets for the Panthers, all victories, and given their defensive style, an approach that favors low scores and wearing down their opponent, even if they can't get out of here with a win, a scoreless draw against Stillwater, I'm sure they would take. The Ponies have drawn even twice, both times scoreless draws. Once with Eden Prairie back in August, and one a couple days ago with Woodbury in a range-shortened contest.
Lakeville substitution number 3, Marley Williams.
Foul on Lakeville North, so a free kick coming up for Floor. Last time she was in that position, roughly, there was a header that Waters had to stop. Doesn't look like that'll be a problem here. And Ndringa slips on the turf. And that will be a throw-in for Lakeville North. Still awaiting our first goal. We came inches away from one in the boys' game. And as we enter the final phase of regulation, ball gets wedged in the bench. We may have to consider the prospect of extra time in this one. Again, this match controlled by Stillwater in terms of possession. And a series of throw-ins for the Ponies. While they've spent a lot of time in the attacking third, developing an attack, finding a quality chance has proven difficult. And they've had a few looks, but Annie Waters has brushed them off every time.
I'm with you. So that's why I go to work and half of my pay. Oh yeah. That's why my sister came out. Stay home, Mom. Stay home first.
Stillwater opting to let that bounce out. That was Haley Nelson. And we haven't called much, in part because Stillwater's defenders haven't spent a lot of time. And a bit of a push. Lakeville North wanted a foul there. They don't get one. Stillwater on the throw-in. And Ndringa tackled from behind. That will be a foul assessed to Annalise Cheetah. And that trip results in a free kick for Floor. Now she will switch and move out. Lexi Huber will put it in. The free kick, that is. So The two trade rolls. Let's see how this works out. Huber, header, and that bounces wide right. Just over 7 minutes remaining. Lakeville North. It looks like if they're going to find a scoring opportunity, it's going to have to be done on a counterplay, or if they can get a foul and a free kick in favorable territory. Here's a ball, but that bounces left of the goal. Still awaiting a winner. And we'll get to that point. It's certainly a big change from what we saw on Tuesday. Lakeville North should... I thought they were going to get it, but that was not the case. And Nye Dobier was ready to put it in, but Mike Huber called for a substitution. Rachel Folden will go in. And Folden a little too fast there. Dobier had not left the field of play. And Folden will try again. Well, Folden has no lack of ambition. So he's a go-getter. Wanted to throw it in right away, but had to wait for Dobier to clear the field. Floor. Boxed out. Goal kick coming up for the Panthers. You know, you might think Lakeville North would settle for a draw. I mean, of course, they're going to play for a win if the opportunity arises, but they are not a risk-taking team. They want to guard the interior and deny any clean looks. Stillwater's had a few, but they seem content to do just that. If they don't get any shots here or any looks, they'll concentrate their efforts on preventing Stillwater from getting any openings. But it's a significant contrast to the game on Tuesday, where Forest Lake had just one win entering that matchup and a couple of tiers below Stillwater as far as competitive viability. The Ponies were able to throw down the gauntlet early. But against a state tournament perennial, that changes, because your assignments are just as fluent as you are. And here's that potential counterplay. Snuffed out by Peterson, I believe. Stillwater trying to respond, and good box out there by the Panthers, allowing Waters to pick up the ball without danger. 3:35 and counting. And unless Stillwater can get open, or if Lakeville North can get a counter here, they would love one. We might be seeing extra time. Lakeville North throwing. Now it's Stillwater ball. 3 minutes to go. Rather clean game. Of course, yellows are more rare in the girls' game than the boys. I don't know if that has to do with perceptions, how the two teams approach the game, how the two genders, but no yellows and only one injury stoppage. A few big chances by the Ponies. Every time Annie Waters rebuffed them. Fine effort at the net. Corner coming up for the Ponies. We'll see if they can do something with it. 2:10. And Stillwater, this would be a prime opportunity to get a score because of Lakeville North's style. You can get a goal here, and that would put the Panthers in an uncomfortable position. Waters sends that one away. Who's going to win that air ball? And well, Bonilla didn't have a great ball on that. Likes to use the left foot on her strikes. We saw that in the Forest Lake game. Just didn't quite work out there. So 90 seconds. And what appears to be another game that will be settled in extra time. Foul on the Ponies, Dara Andringa.
Lakeville North direct hit on the Stillwater goal.
Let's see what Lakeville North chooses to do. As they have a free kick and a potential attacking chance if they can get something. They haven't spent much time in the attacking side. And they get a foul there, so free kick coming up. Again, Lakeville North, if they have to, they would settle for another tie. They've only given up 4 goals. The Ponies have only given up 3. And anytime you get top-tier matchups like this, we saw this last week, sometimes you get 1 goals or no goals. It's that kind of a matchup. You know, more often than not, it's a low-scoring affair. 5 seconds, and we are going to extra time. So we will have 10 minutes to settle this. We'll have a 3-minute break for the teams to huddle up, and we'll have 2 5-minute sessions. No golden goal. As you know, no golden goal. So if either side scores, we will play the full 10 minutes. Teams will switch sides after 5, and if neither team is able to score, this will end in a draw. It's been that kind of a game. Well, if you are a fan of offense, I'm sorry to say, this was not the place to be. And either some folks are heading out or, it looks like, some folks are filing on out of here. Not like they have to beat traffic. So another extra time match. Well, I hope you like soccer because we're getting plenty of it. And just like the boys' game, a series of near misses on the part of the Ponies. Lakeville North had one chance and really doesn't go after it like that, preferring to wait for a counter. Of course, there are drawbacks to that. You don't get many chances to score yourself, and Stillwater is not the kind of team that will give you a mistake easily. How this would affect the sections, if it ends in a draw, I don't think it would have much of an impact. Stillwater, a top 10 team. They've been a top 10 team all season. Lakeville North, they're the school that makes state almost every year. And this is our last scheduled soccer broadcast at Stillwater. at least on the TSB television front. I'll be back here on October 2nd for a live Valley Access Channels broadcast when the boys and girls host White Bear Lake in the regular season finale.
Where? By yourself?
And we'll have coverage of the section run, however long that goes, highlights, and if either one of the teams reaches the section final, perhaps we'll bring it to you on Valley Access Channels. So we will have 10 minutes to settle this. Split into 2 5-minute sessions. Five minutes of extra time, and as we stated, no golden goals in regular season play. If neither team is able to get ahead by the end of the extra time sessions, the match will end in a draw. Again, it's an interesting quirk in the sport of soccer at this level. You have an extra time in regular season. You go to the higher levels, and there isn't. Of course, here in Minnesota, there is no stoppage time with a clock that counts down, so this might be a way to make up for it. Look for Stillwater to continue the attack. I don't imagine Lakeville North will be any more aggressive. They prefer to win on defense, and if they have to settle for a draw, they'll do so. No penalty kicks, of course, in regular season play. That will only occur in postseason play. Lakeville North. Bonilla able to keep that one in play, but Huber cannot. Lakeville North, they probably won't make a move unless there's a counter, and my apologies if you don't think I've been saying their names enough, but mostly it's sending away attacks on Stillwater's end. Quick change for a free kick here. This is Anna Steele, one of the captains. And here's number 3, Molly Waters. Lakeville North. Now they're in the attacking third. And that attack won't sustain itself for long. Sarah Kugler wasn't even close. But interesting way to start the extra time session. And Dringa is trying to pass upfield, perhaps to Bonilla. Didn't quite get the mark. There were 4 white jerseys. Bonilla picks it up again. That's a deep ball, and Waters, that's staying in. Waters has to retrieve it. That stayed in play. The initial shot went off the crossbar. Came back in the field of play. Annie Waters attentively stayed with it. But she's been doing that all night. And she'd be happy to take a tie, perhaps with Stillwater. And, you know, a tie is not a loss. So at least you have that going for you. And they do happen in the sport of soccer. I find that amusing, since folks don't like ties, but they're widely accepted in soccer. In hockey, they got rid of them with the shootouts after an overtime session, but Soccer seems to be one of the last vestiges where a tie is considered acceptable. NFL, not so much. As we learned last week with the Vikings-Packers game. Yeah, but sports fans can be hard to please. You know, you get rid of ties, but then you have shootouts. Folks don't like that because it feels it cheapens the game. So it's like, what do you want? Unlimited overtimes? Marissa Bonilla showing her speed, but can't get the angle. Lakeville North's defense on point as they have been throughout this game.
1 minute.
Floor will throw it in. There's that lob again, but that sails past everybody. Huber tries the spin move. Can't evade her defenders. Floor trying to pass upfield. Huber's got it. Now Bonilla. And Andrinka sends that one too high, and that will, in all likelihood, end any threat for the first overtime session.
10 seconds.
Lakeville North not in any real hurry to put this ball in play. Even if they did, they wouldn't have time to do anything.
2, 1.
So we'll try again with another 5 minutes. Again, the 5 minutes a microcosm of this match. Stillwater controlling the possession. And if they're unable to close out with the win, it might be a source of frustration. Because this was a game where they had a few chances to win it if they're unable to convert. And they played Lakeville North rather well. Able to move the ball down the field. Make no mistake, they've put a lot of pressure on Annie Waters to step up, and by all accounts, the sophomore has done just that, not allowing a goal. This was something the Stillwater coaches had discussed, Lakeville North's conservative style that emphasizes defense, denying opportunities. It's a style that can be frustrating to some who like to see teams take a little more risk, make plays, but it suits them well. Ball deflected. Howard's not going to be able to get there. Lakeville North. Nice move. The mark of a strong defense. Fulton will have to settle for a throw-in, and more importantly, Megan Howard denied a chance. And that was offside.
Stillwater offside.
Could that have been the last opportunity? We shall see. Lakeville North ball. And if they want to win, this is their moment. Not much there. And even when they are able to get the ball onto the opposing side of the field, Panthers having difficulty developing any kind of attack. At least in this game, which might be why they prefer to lay back and weather shot after shot from the Ponies. Free kick coming up.
Correct kick for the Ponies on the end ball.
Floor will do the honors. Again, the last scheduled broadcast on my end, but I'll be back here next Saturday when the girls host Burnsville. We'll have highlights of that on the social media feeds of Valley Access channels. Now with just under 2 minutes to go, it looks like the Ponies will have one more decent shot here with a corner. And they waste little time getting in position. Here it comes. That went off the crossbar. Lakeville North, good move there. Here's the counter. Evelyn Force chasing that down, and Stillwater will beat out Louise Stromoff on the foot race. They had a little too much speed there. That's a long way to go when you try to go on a counter like that. But nice job clearing away the corner on the part of Stillwater. Here's Howard. Nice move. Deflected. Corner coming up for the Ponies. Big deflection by the Panthers. Andringa hurries into position. We have 35 seconds. Big corner coming up. Ball bounces around. Lakeville North able to clear it, and Floor sends it over the net, and that should do it. Goal kick coming up. So Lakeville North withstanding everything Stillwater could throw at them.
10 seconds.
And this match will end in a scoreless draw.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lakeville North's defense holds. It doesn't get them a win, but it does get them a draw, and Stillwater's unbeaten streak continues. They threw everything they had at Lakeville North, but it wasn't enough. That being said, the unbeaten streak does go to 5 games. So Stillwater goes to 8-1-3 on the tie. Lakeville North goes to 5-1-3 with the tie. A scoreless draw. Annie Waters, the player of the game for Lakeville North, again, taking everything Stillwater threw at her and sending it back. Nice job by the Lakeville North defense. Stillwater, frustrating one. All those shots and a couple of chances to get the win. It was not meant to be tonight. We'll see what happens as they await Eastridge on Tuesday. So that wraps up our coverage here from Pony Stadium. For our entire crew, I'm Mike Beaton. Thanks for watching. Stillwater and Lakeville North end their game in a scoreless draw.